Hello, everyone. How are you doing? This is Daryl Guberman, CEO of Guberman PMC LLC, a quality consulting firm here in Connecticut. All the data will be down below this video, but this is very important. We have a very important shareholder here. Her name is Leanne Caret. She is president and CEO of Boeing Defense, Space, and Security. She owns 59,148 shares, which will come down to, at today's stock prices, about $11 million. No wonder why she's smiling. But this video is very important. This video is about Leanne Caret, President and CEO of Boeing Defense Security, and 59,000 shareholder, receives an education by Shareholder quality expert Daryl Guberman. Yes, I am, Leanne, and it really is not good. Sit down, please. We have an interview. Actually, we did a speech at the American Society for Quality. This video may be lengthy, but it's going to be informative for you as a shareholder. Maybe you don't give a damn. And making $11,000, if you left today, you could retire very nicely. Okay? I don't own those quantities of shares, but nevertheless, the portion that I own is still a piece of that fabric of Boeing. So we had a Mr. David Levy. Mr. David Levy was a Region 3 director of the ASQ, and we have him here in the wings with his recording because we did record it. We had it videotaped, so you can read the bottom of it, please.
That's all. Okay, thank you. There is no restriction on you doing business unaccredited or accredited. And as I said, then why has no problem with you doing what that's wrong. You're wrong. To support you, sir. You're wrong.
In fact, they support me, sir. Let me just tell you a little bit of background about the American Society for Quality, Leanne. At the time in 2013, when I gave this speech for the Fairfield and New Haven County branches of the American Society for Quality, ASQ owned ANAP 50%, and the American National Standards Institute owned it 50%. Now we're going to go a little bit further, Leanne, if we may. In 2016, a Mr. Randy Doty, at one time back in 2014, he was between 2009 and 14, he was the vice president of ANAP, the chairman of the IF, and also sat on the IF tax firm. The International Accreditation Forum is a repository for both national and international accreditation bodies. ANSI and ANAP are underwriters for the IAF and also the International Laboratory Accreditation Cooperation located in Australia. So he invited us to join either the IF or ANAP or both. It's all voluntary. That's what they say. That's a bunch of baloney. We're going to show you why we didn't join, Leanne. And let me just tell you this. Boeing sits on ANSI's board, and I'm going to have to tell you this. Please forgive me. I didn't say it. This guy did. His name was Russ Cheney. He's the chairman of ANSI's board, and he was also the chairman of the nomination committee in 2022. So this happened in 2019, where Russ Cheney called me up because I exposed an impropriety in laboratory certification. Now, as a chairman, he speaks for people like you that work for Boeing, because Boeing sits on ANSI's board. And here it is. You cannot make this up. And it is absolutely unbelievable that you have a chairman that says this, who's representing you, Leanne.
This is Russ Cheney. Please leave a message and I'll return your call as soon as possible.
Record your...
Yes, he did say that. I wrote a letter to Joe Batia, the CEO of ANSI. He sent it to Jameson Carroll, their attorney of Carroll and Weiss in Atlanta, Georgia. And he said, after analysis, we were unable to identify any harassing or objectionable content in the brief audio file. So let's play it again.
This is Russ Cheney. Please leave a message and I'll return your call as soon as possible.
Record your...
So anyway, in 2022, Leanne, I put in an application to become a director at large. A 54-page document. We'll gladly send it to you if you like. And it had all recommendation letters, 16 of them. Guess who was the nominating chairman? It was no other than Russ Cheney. But I'm getting back to he's the chairman. So as Boeing is sitting on ANSI, that's like you saying it to me. Do you like that? You own 59,000 shares of stock. You should be able to have some say in what memberships you join on. Well, let's continue, will we? Or shall we? ANSI is the American National Standards Institute, is a private, not-for-profit, non-governmental corporation that has both federal agencies and corporations on board. They've been around for over 100 years, Leanne. In 2015, Randy Doherty handed over leadership of the IAF to this Chinese Communist National. At the time, he was the chairman of the IAF. He was also the principal on the IAF tax form, and he was also the vice president of the American National Accreditation Board. And here you go. He's handing over leadership. At this time, Zhao Jinwu is also the chief executive of the China National Accreditation Services in Beijing, China. And by the way, Leanne, he's mandated by his communist country of origin, China, to take our data through the China National Intelligence Law, Article number 7. By the way, Boeing has been hacked, as you must well be aware of. Maybe you're not. This is a congratulatory letter or document that Randy wrote, congratulating the fact that Zhao Jinwu's been on board with quality in the United States and the world since 1994. He also wrote this. It said an IAF MLA or MRA is equivalent in accreditation to ANSI ANAB, which means Iran, Pakistan, etc. But Iran has most recently been taken off the IAF for not paying fees of membership. So here it is. And he talks about how it is a sister organization. The IAF and ILAC are sister organizations. ANAB sits on ANSI's board. As I said, the ASQ sits on ANSI's board right over by ANAB. In 2018, ANSI took over complete control over ANAB, and they also sit on the IAF, being watched over and controlled over by Communist China at the time between 2015 and 21. The most amazing thing, though, is that here they are sitting there, and how, when Randy invited us, it was 2016, as I told you, 2016, he sent that invitation for me to join. How could I join when he handed over to a Communist Chinese national a cybersecurity risk? And who sits on ANSI's board but federal agencies and corporations like Boeing? Also sitting by them is, of course, Iran and Pakistan, which are equivalent in accreditation to ANSI ANAB. There are 10 different registration companies in China that can issue an ANSI ANAB accreditation. This is telling you that ANSI is a founding member and the only member who made the international accreditation form, so they own it in its entirety. As I said, the IAF is a sister to ILAC, and remember, ANSI ANAB are underwriters. And here you go. Talking about COVID, let's go a little bit further. Here you have Zhao Jinwu in 2017 issuing a quality certificate for laboratory accreditation. In 2018, America sent several of their specialists to Wuhan, China, and the scientists were begging for specialists, for technicians, because that is the first area of containment in a BioLevel 4 lab, is highly trained technicians. We're going to get to that. So he basically handed a certificate to a lab that was not prepared and not ready to handle BioLevel 4 viruses. To confirm that, we have a Miss Pamela Sale who gave under deposition in 2017. And I'm not going to read it, but she basically said that from one laboratory to another, there are variances. Now, she's the vice president of accreditation, and she's telling you already that Wuhan laboratory failed because of their technicians were not properly trained. Yet they still gave a certificate. Here is the actual CDC in May of 2019 document for training for virology lab. Not virology labs, virology lab. Only stated in this document is Wuhan, China. You go to page 3 and it states, the safety and function of a BioLevel 4 laboratory rely not only on the containment facility and biosafety management systems, but on also highly qualified and experienced staff. It sounds like it's the same thing ANAB does with your suppliers. Give them the certificate, get the money, and run. Here we go. This came out of a training document concerning, let me turn this over, a training document concerning the second annual workshop for the United States and China. And remember, Anthony Fauci got inquisitioned by Senator Ron Paul, asking him about gain of function. Here it is, the first item of business is gain of function, and Fauci said, I don't know anything. This is the actual document that came from, so don't think that I am making this up, because I don't. Integrity, honesty, and the truth. And here you have Zhao Jinwu in the lab, giving him a fictitious cert, and then you have that article that I showed you at the bottom right there. Here goes a good one for you. A majority of failures happen and scandals happen in accredited labs. Now, Boeing has problems with their quality, but they should go back to their underwriter, which is also their accreditation body, ANSI ANAB. To prove the validity of that, Leanne, here you go. There it is. Right here, there you go. This is a government contract standard operating work order from 2018, which means that our federal government invited communist China in because it talks about the IAF. In fact, here is the document, and you can read it right there. It says, ANAB is an underwriter for the International Accreditation Forum. Now we're going to go with Boeing. And you know about Boeing, I hope. You have enough shares. And here it is, a Boeing right there. And I am also a share owner too, Leanne, but I'm outside. I'm not affiliated with this stuff. I've been trying to tell you to get away for a long time. And our business has been, Boeing broke the Sherman-Clayton Act when it comes to our business. And I'm going to tell you how towards the end of the video. Boeing sits on ANSI's board, right over by ANAB, that they shove down the supplier's throat, and they sit on the board. You're going to see that very shortly, Leanne. In 2002, Boeing gave up supplier auditing, okay, to look at their suppliers to this document, Supplier Bulletin, which basically states this in simple terms. You have an AS9100 for aerospace certification. It must be ANSI ANAB accredited because Boeing sits on their boards. You send us your certificate, the supplier, send us your parts, and Boeing doesn't have to do any on-site audits because you know what they say. On-site Boeing survey or audit of suppliers' quality system if need be. Our preference is to deal with proven suppliers with excellent quality performance and not have to do on-site quality system surveys. Well, and here goes a progressive resistance, Leanne. This is actually telling you about the FAA making the Boeing a regulatory, basically making them FAA. So any of your CEOs, Dennis Muhlenberg and David Calhoun, are actually administrators, pale administrators of the FAA because the FAA made Boeing a regulator. And it states, the FAA increased authority of Boeing's commercial airplane division to self-certify its own aircraft. This new system allows Boeing employees to perform tasks on behalf of the FAA that include oversight of testing and product standards, along with certification of aircraft technologies like MCAS, Leanne, and new aircraft designs. On your supplier portal, Leanne, you have, there you go, demanding ANSI ANAB or international equivalent. Could be Iran, could be Pakistan. Here they are sitting on the board. Sitting on the board that can grant, suspend, and withdraw certification, Leanne. You find anything wrong with that? So let me go through this real quick with you. How Boeing, your organization, broke the Sherman-Clayton Act for antitrust and competition, okay, and monopoly. Here you go. First of all, they have it on the supplier bulletin in 2002. Must be ANSI ANAB. Next, they have it on the supplier portal. That must be ANSI ANAB. Next, they sit on the board. And as I'm a registrar, and my companies try to get into Boeing, and I personally had an interview with two Boeing individuals who didn't know the cockpit from the bathroom on a plane. That's no lie, who worked for Boeing. I don't make that up. And it was for a company down in Garland, Texas. And they wanted to get me. They thought that I would represent them well in the function of quality, which we do with our customers. We've been in business for 13 years. And we were on the phone, and the lady said, both of them said, no, we can't use you because you're not ANSI ANAB accredited, thus breaking the Sherman-Clayton Act. Who sits there? The FAA sits right over by Boeing. And I have a question for you, Leanne. Now, if you have Boeing as a regulator, and you have the FAA sitting by them, you have the FAA sitting by them, how can one regulator watch over another regulator? And they're coming out with this BS. And here goes this. Sitting on ANSI ANAB is these 7 registrars. One of which, and many, you have TUVSUD that certifies Boeing with an ANSI ANAB certificate with IAF logo, both logos, right? You have TUV, and you also have TUV-SUD up here as well. Sitting right over by Boeing, their registration company, their accreditation body, all sitting by them, and they sit on the accreditation body. No wonder why, Leanne, you have quality out of control at Boeing. And also, here you go. Boeing fudging documentation on the aircraft, okay? You can't make this up. Maybe they learned it from the FAA because when they were fudging, they were an FAA, and they are an FAA regulator. Most recently, Leanne, as you must be well aware, your Bell Boeing composite facility, and that's my background, composites, time, temperature, and pressure. If one of those is off, you're going to have a product failure and possibly loss of aircraft and pilot. They got an $8.1 million fine from the DOJ for skipping quality processes, fudging documentation between 2007 and 2018. That's 11 years of mess. You also have sitting there the IAQG, sitting over there, which is the repository online aerospace supplier information systems. Okay. Also, and here's what it says. This is this came out in 2003, telling the customer that you cannot refuse to get off the database for Oasis, and if you don't pay database fees, we're going to take it away from your certificate. Isn't that nice? You have the Society for Engineers sitting over there. Everybody's together. Here's the Department of Justice that fined Boeing. Okay, Leanne? You also have the FBI who does investigations, just in case if they think it's terrorism when an airplane goes down. You also have the Department of Defense, where in 2012 to 13, the Obama administration signed off a waiver so that China, no less, could build the specialized magnets for the F-35 fighter. Isn't that a tender moment in an unsecure world or insecure world? And here you go, Department of Transportation. And the last one is a Federal Trade Commission, where we had dealt with antitrust for another one of your competitors, Lockheed Martin, another aerospace company. And Alan Friedman, who worked there, said there's 4 people in the office and we have to handle 10,000 complaints a week. You don't make this up. He will probably say, Daryl Goodman's a liar. I don't lie. And that's the last thing I'm going to say to you. I apologize for the length of this, Leanne, but as a shareholder, me, and you're a shareholder sitting in the company itself, you are culpable of a mess. And then you have Russ Cheney, your ANSI membership chairman, say those words to me. Can you imagine that? What does that say about the integrity of you, Leanne, and your organization? My telephone number is 203-556-1493 or Daryl, TQRS, @yahoo.com. I thank you.